God bless America. Hello, everybody. I am the Talk Radio Protege. This is the Protege program. Thank you all so much for joining me on this beautiful Friday. I hope that you all are looking forward to the weekend. I know that I am. I've got some good plans, and I want to start this video off with a brief update, not too long. We're going to get to the news shortly, but next week is when my schedule is going to take a big and somewhat permanent upheaval. It's not going to be like what I've been going through the past couple of weeks where my uploading has been erratic. This is going to be eventually a permanent shift in my daily schedule, which is going to affect the upload times, possibly the frequency. I hope not the frequency, but definitely affect the times. Just want to give you all a heads up about that. Now to the news. James Comey has been making the rounds, talking about his book, talking about the crimes that talking about the things that he did while he was FBI director and immediately after he was fired, trying so desperately to defend what's the word I'm looking for? To defend the FBI. It's not the word I was looking for, but I can't think of it right now. And along those lines, the House Intelligence Committee released a report today where they announced that they have found no evidence of collusion. And, of course, the president is saying that this means the probe needs to end. Now, let's go and look at what some of those facts are in this report. The House Intelligence Committee on Friday declared that it found no evidence of collusion between the Russian government and Trump campaign during the 2016 presidential election. The Republican-authored report released over Democratic objections stated that the committee found no evidence that the Trump campaign colluded, coordinated, or conspired with the Russian government. The committee did, however, find poor judgment and ill-considered actions by the Trump and Clinton campaigns. Now, we've known that there was going to be no evidence of collusion with Russia. Many people on the Democrat side knew there was going to be no evidence of collusion with Russia. It's why the language, especially in the media, has shifted from talking about collusion to talking about obstruction of justice. Because they're a lot more likely to convince people to impeach Trump based on obstruction of justice than they are to convince people to impeach Trump based on Russian collusion, for which there is no evidence. The Republican report talks about Russian meddling in the election, the U.S. response to the attack, links between the Russians and the Trump and Clinton campaigns, and purported leaks of classified information. The committee found no evidence that the Trump campaign associates were involved in the theft or publication of Clinton campaign-related emails, although Trump associates had numerous ill-advised contacts with WikiLeaks. The committee outlined poor judgment practiced by both campaigns, citing the June 2016 meeting at Trump Tower between members of the Trump campaign and the Russian lawyer who turned out had procured this meeting through false advertising. The committee also found the Clinton campaign and the DNC uses a series of cutouts and intermediaries to obscure their roles, paid for opposition research on Trump, obtained from Russian sources, including a litany of claims by high-ranking current and former Russian government officials. The committee also focused on leaks of classified information, noting that the number of leaks regarding Russian intentions to help elect candidate Trump increased dramatically after Election Day. This is all stuff that we've been talking about for months, or that we've talked about in months gone by. Months ago, when this information first came out, we talked about it here, and it's being talked about by this House Intelligence Committee, Senate Intelligence Committee rather, as if it is the truth. Verifiably the truth. Now, of course, the Democrats are going to object to this. Adam Schiff says that the inquiry by the panel is being prematurely shut down. He's saying they're going to continue to investigate, and Adam Schiff is partially calling for different things, classified conversations to be released. I partially think that he's calling for these things to be released, not because he wants them to be released, but because he thinks they won't be, and by calling for them to be released, he can make people think that there is damaging goods in those conversations. Now, all the stories that we're going to talk about today kind of tie back into this investigation, what has happened as part of the investigation, and what the investigation has and is still uncovering. Interestingly, what the investigation is uncovering, the Mueller probe is uncovering various technical violations by people in the Trump orbit. Not necessarily Trump, not necessarily high-ranking people in the Trump campaign, but people in the Trump orbit. And a lot of what Comey did as part of this probe is being revealed, has been revealed, and part of what Comey did was talked about in his interview with Bret Baier that happened last night on Fox News. And some of these things, I've talked about how I thought at one point that Comey was probably a decent guy, that he probably, before he was fired, thought that he had some obligation to get the truth out about the Clinton stuff, but at the same time he wanted to save his job. And I think that in the moment that's why he did the things that he did. But now that he's been fired, he's come out as very vindictive, very vengeful. He is revising, I think, his opinion on why he did the things that he did to try and make Trump look bad and to try and make himself look better. And some of that comes through in this interview with Baier. First of all, as the author who authored this, Nate Jackson over at the Patriot Post, said Comey has an odd definition of the word leak. Speaking on Fox and Friends this morning, President Trump declared Comey is a leaker. Comey responded Thursday night, he's wrong, facts really do matter. Let's say Comey released a 2-page memo recording his meetings with President Trump to his friend Dan Richman, a Columbia University Law School professor. Comey's stated intent in testimony to Congress was that he hoped to bring about a special prosecutor. Yet to Bret Baier, Comey said, I don't consider what I did with Richman a leak. I told him about an unclassified conversation with the president. He likened the memo to a diary, supposedly meaning it wasn't a leak to reveal it. Representative Trey Gowdy said Jim Comey has a definition of the word leak that no one else has. What he says is not, I think there's a misspeaking here. I think what Gowdy meant to say was what he says is not a leak is what the rest of us call a felony. Because Comey said that what he did was not a leak. And I want to explain why it is a leak and why it is also a felony. Anything that the president says the term is born classified. It's automatically classified, everything the president says. Now, if he says it in public, he's saying it in such a form where it obviously should not be considered classified because he's broadcasting that information. But when the president has a private conversation with someone, that conversation could be about what puppy is the cutest that he saw on Instagram that day. And if he doesn't make it a public broadcast, if it's between him and one other person, it's a classified conversation. Whether or not it is written down, the conversation and its contents are classified. And what Comey said, what Comey told Bret, the entire exchange is not in this column, but what he told Bret Baier is that he wrote it down, or he typed it up. He probably typed up these memos that were conversations between him and President Trump, probably typed it up, made 2 copies, gave one to the FBI, and took one home with him. Now, I don't know all the rules about securing classified information and owning classified information, but it could very well be that Comey is guilty of 2 felonies: illegal possession of classified information and illegal distribution of classified information. If President Trump had told people the contents of his conversations with Jim Comey, then it wouldn't be a leak for Comey to share his version of those conversations. But he did. If President Trump had told people what the contents of his conversations were with Jim Comey, if Trump had told people what the contents of the conversation between him and Comey were, it wouldn't be a felony for Comey to share the information. But Trump didn't do that, so it's still classified when Comey shares it. It doesn't matter that Comey takes home a quote-unquote private version of the conversation. It doesn't matter on which forum Comey writes the information down. He could have written, "Dear Diary, today the president and I talked about puppies. It was a private conversation. I really enjoyed it." And the fact that the conversation was about puppies would be classified information, and it could be that is illegal, unlawful handling of classified information. But Comey told Bear, I heard this in some extended cuts, that he didn't think his private version of the memos memorializing his conversations with Trump would still be considered classified after he was fired from the FBI. So Comey has made 2 copies of these memos. One he leaves at the FBI office where everybody in the FBI can get them, and one he takes home with him, and he allegedly secures the one he takes home with him. Now, he knows that it's classified. Otherwise, he wouldn't have left a copy with the FBI. He knows that it's classified. He's just trying to semantically get himself out of this situation here. But it doesn't matter when the conversation is memorialized. It doesn't matter who wrote it down or what capacity they are in terms of authority. It's a private conversation of the president. It is therefore classified information. Let's go on to the second one. I don't want to spend any more time on that. Comey denied knowing who funded the fake Russian dossier. When asked when he learned that the DNC funded the dossier, Comey replied, "I still don't know that for a fact." Now, I just showed you the column where everybody on the Senate Intelligence Committee believes that it is a fact that the DNC funded the Steele dossier. So either Comey thinks he knows better than the Intelligence Committee, or he's uninformed, or he's lying. I tend to think that it's door number C. That he is trying to... He's told... Remember, he told George Stephanopoulos in an earlier interview back on Sunday that it didn't occur to him to tell Trump that the dossier was funded by the DNC. George asked, "Did you tell the president that the dossier was funded by the DNC?" And Comey didn't say, "I don't think it was." He said, "It didn't occur to me." So apparently his opinion changed between Sunday and last night. So again, gets back to, I think Comey is being vengeful and he's lying about this. Third, Comey was asked about the anti-Trump text between Strzok and Page. Strzok interviewed both Clinton and Flynn. He was integral to both cases. Comey said that he would have removed them from any contact with significant investigations. He admitted their work product could be called into question, but he insisted the team was big enough to compensate. Now, I'm going to go ahead and move on from this. I don't want to get too bogged down in the weeds, because this is what I want to spend the rest of the video on. As you all know, McCabe was fired from his position in the FBI after it was learned that he lied under oath to, I think it says who exactly he lied to when he was under oath in this. When speaking with internal investigators, McCabe lacked candor, aka lied, on 4 occasions when speaking with internal investigators, according to the department's, the DOJ's Office of Inspector General. Now, McCabe has broken the law according to the law of the land. According to the law, it's illegal. It's a crime to lie to federal investigators. Now, the question remains, is McCabe going to be indicted for his crimes? And if he's not, then he is another example, another evidence of the two-tiered justice system that unfortunately exists in the United States of America. The way that the two-tiered justice system works is like this. Once you reach a certain point in the establishment, you're in a club. You're in a club of people that it's so prestigious to be in this club that to get close enough and not make it to the next level of the club, or to be in the club and be forced out, is considered so great a humiliation and so terrible a punishment that you are immune from any crimes that you committed trying to reach the next level of the club or when getting kicked out of the club. Example, Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton committed, according to what I've seen in the news and in reports and different things, Hillary Clinton committed various Federal Election Commission violations, election funding violations. Hillary Clinton committed various economic fraud violations, possibly tax evasion, possibly different things like that. But she was going for the next level of the establishment club. She was going for the presidency. She was going for nearly the highest level in the club that you can get, and she missed it. She failed to achieve the next level, and she's not even going to be investigated for any of the things that she did with the Clinton Foundation, with the campaign funding, possible campaign funding violations. None of that is going to be investigated. She's not going to be indicted because her failing to reach the next level of the club is considered by the club to be so tremendous an embarrassment and failure that is punishment enough. That it would be cruel and unusual to submit somebody like Hillary Clinton to the justice, to the second tier of the justice system. The second tier applies to everybody not in the club. If you're not in the club and you commit a crime, you go through the same thing that everybody in the club goes through in terms of being embarrassed, being let go from your job, suffering all of these real life consequences, and then you go through the criminal justice system. You are investigated, you are indicted, you are prosecuted, you're sentenced. You have to go through paying the price for the crimes that you committed. See Bill Cosby, just recently convicted for drugging and sexually assaulting various women. See Bernie Madoff. See Michael Flynn. See all kinds of people. Anybody who is not in the political establishment is in the Tier 2 justice system. your cousin's sister-in-law's ex-roommate who went to prison for tax evasion is part of the Tier 2 justice system. Just the accusation of a crime is enough to get a lot of people fired from their job, especially if it's a sexual impropriety accusation. If you're accused of sexual harassment or anything like that, that's instant. You're fired from your job. You're a social pariah. You're never going to get hired to any meaningful job ever the rest of your life. And you're probably going to have to go through all the legal fees. You're going to be indicted. You're going to be prosecuted. Even if you are exonerated, you're a social pariah and your life is over. But for the Washington establishment, for the political establishment, all of the first things that I outlined, the losing your job, the embarrassment of being caught in doing a thing, the becoming a social pariah, the being cast out of the club, is considered so great a punishment that subjecting you to the just punishments, to the justice system, is injustice. If that sounds maddening to you, trust me, it is maddening to me. Just because I understand it doesn't mean I agree with it. I understand that it would be a terribly embarrassing thing to not become the president. To get as close as Hillary Clinton got and not be the president, that's nearly closer than anyone else has ever been. The only person that got closer than Hillary Clinton got to the presidency and then failed was Andrew Jackson in the first century of our country, when he won the popular vote, but nobody won the electoral vote, so it went to the House of Representatives and they voted for John Quincy Adams. That's the closest that anybody's ever got to the presidency. Hillary Clinton comes in second. She was going to be coronated. She was at the highest level of the establishment for all intents and purposes except for the one that mattered. And she failed. And that is considered, in the twisted and warped logic of the establishment swamp, to be so great a failure that there is nothing more they could do to punish Hillary Clinton than she's already punishing herself for failing. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like when you do something wrong. You know you've done something wrong. It's not illegal. It's just something that afflicts your conscience. And it's wrong, and you know it's wrong, and you feel physically sick unless you fix it. I have felt that way before. It's not fun to go through. And what you feel like you don't need in that situation is somebody to come down on you. Imagine for a moment that you, let's say you wronged your best friend. Whatever it is, you lied to them, you stole from them, you cheated them in a way that genuinely hurt them. And you felt so bad about it that you almost tossed your cookies. And the only thing that stopped you from vomiting in disgust at yourself was telling your friend how awfully you treated them. You would feel in that situation like your friend coming down on you is beating a dead horse. You're punishing yourself. You don't need more from your friend. That's the way the political establishment thinks about their club members that fail at reaching the next level of the establishment or that must be kicked out like Andrew McCabe. I think that's going to do it for this video. I've said everything that I think I want to say. I'm sure I'll think of some other things later, right after I stop recording this video. But thank you all for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Are we heading towards, or are we already at a banana republic, or is this a country still based on the rule of law? If you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe. Hitting the bell for notifications is more important now in the coming weeks than it has been in the past, because my schedule is changing. My upload time is going to be a little fluid as I adjust to this new schedule. But as soon as I get solidified and my schedule change is more permanent, I'll be able to get to a more regular upload schedule. I thank you in advance for your patience in helping me with that. Again, thank you so much for watching. Go have a blast this weekend. Until next time, have a good night, have a great weekend, and God bless.